Greetings everyone, Surfing Dancing on Day, back at it again with another reaction. So, we're looking at the apology tour, I guess you could say, for the long hiatus I had to take during the holidays over here. To be fair, it was a bit crazy. But this is going to be the top 20 best Kamen Rider movies of all time. So we'll be doing 10 today, then 10 the next day, making a little two-parter, if you will. This is like a 30-minute video. So, let's get into it and see what the top 20 best Rider movies are.
What are the best Kamen Rider movies of all time? What are the best Kamen Rider movies of all time? Lately, I've been rewatching close to 50 years worth of Kamen Rider movies, and I thought it would be fun to rank my favorite Kamen Rider movies of all time. With so many great Kamen Rider movies, a top 10 just wouldn't cut it. So today we're gonna rank and discuss the top 20 Kamen Rider movies of all time. And with such a long history, we're bound to disagree on a few of these. So let me know what your favorite Kamen Rider movies are in the comments. And without further ado, let's get into it. Henshin! Number 20 is Kamen Rider Yuki, episode final. This is basically the end of the series, but in an alternate timeline. This was apparently meant to be Toshiki Inoue's ending, whereas the TV show ending was Yasuko Kobayashi's ending. In this film, only 6 riders remain in the Rider War, and we have a relatively heavy story here with a lot of revelations about things that have happened. This is a dark and action-packed movie with a lot of emotion, and there's quite a bit of screen time here for Kamen Rider Fem and Yuga. If you like Kamen Rider Yuki, you're gonna love this movie, and honestly, whenever I'm in the mood to watch Yuki, this is a film that I go back to quite a bit. Next up at number 19 is Oz Deno All Riders Let's Go Kamen Riders. This is a 40th anniversary film and a crossover between Oz, Deno, and Kamen Rider Ichigo. And as such, it features one of the most likable heroes ever in Eiji with one of the funniest toku shows ever in Deno, plus the iconic OG Kamen Rider. This movie currently holds the record for most riders featured in one film, with almost every single rider appearing, save for several movie-exclusive and/or villainous riders. It even features rider-adjacent characters like Kikaida, Inajiman, and Zubat. This film heavily leans on fan service to entertain you, but to be honest, Oz and Deno are such great shows in their own right, and the humor here is pretty entertaining. Another cool thing about this movie is that we see Oz henshin using an Emojin medal as well as a shocker medal, which is obviously pretty unique. Number 18 is Kamen Rider Ex-Aid, the movie True Ending. Taking place after the series, this is a story about an evil ninja rider from the VR world who is attempting to conquer Earth. Him and his ninja minions attack civilians with shurikens, and we come to find out that this evil ninja rider is working with a company called Machina Vision, who is targeting a sick young girl to be the subject of their game, as sort of an evil experiment. To be honest with you, the story is a bit strange, but it has a ton of heart, and all of the riders that you would expect are here. And if you like Ex-Aid, it's more Ex-Aid, so what could be wrong with that?
Fair. Never complain when you get extras of your favorite shows. Unless they do it very badly, in which case complain a lot.
Next up at number 17 is Kamen Rider Drive the movie, Surprise Future. After accidentally creating an explosion, Shinsuke, or Kamen Rider Drive, meets a man who is claiming to be his son from the year 2035, the future. His supposed son warns Shinsuke Belto-san's AI will go rogue and cause the Roidmude to overtake humanity. At the same time, Shinsuke is forced to deal with an evil Kamen Rider that has arrived named Kamen Rider Dark Drive, who also comes from the future, as Dark Drive creates destruction and causes Shinsuke to be blamed for it, making him a wanted man. There are things that happen in this movie, and Shinsuke pretty much gets the raw end of the deal. His allies try to stick up for him, but to no avail, and the entire police force is after him. There is a big twist here that I won't spoil, but suffice it to say, the things that make Drive great are also present here. Great character development, well shot and well choreographed action scenes, and excellent music. Also, Dark Drive looks pretty damn sick.
Fair enough.
Next at number 16 is Kamen Rider Cross Kamen Rider Fozit and Oz, Movie War Megamax. And holy damn, that's a mouthful. In this movie, while Eiji to search for a way to revive Ankh, an evil Kamen Rider from 40 years in the future shows up to cause chaos and make his life a living hell. And this new Kamen Rider is called Kamen Rider Poseidon. In the meantime, we have a Folze adjacent storyline about Foundation X targeting the Solu, an alien life form that's currently in possession of Kamen Rider Folze. This movie also features Double, making it a team-up of an excellent 3-year span of riders. And I have to say that the Kamen Rider Club in this movie really shines, as they cosplay as Showa-era riders. One sad note, though, is this was the final live-action appearance of Philip from Kamen Rider Double, as Masaki Suda has not returned to the Kamen Rider franchise since this movie, and subsequent appearances would feature Rin Koriyama as Shotaro by himself. Number 15 is Decade, All Riders vs. Dai Shocker. In this film, Tsukasa travels to the world of Decade, and he discovers the true nature of his powers. This movie features all Heisei and Showa riders, as they square off with Dai Shocker, which is a conglomerate of classic villains from the franchise based in the world of Decade, even featuring Shadow Moon. In this movie's first week in Japanese theaters, it opened in the #1 spot, even edging out Harry Potter and Pokemon, and earning over 2 billion yen, which is about $21 million in the US. This made it the highest grossing Kamen Rider film at the box office, until the record was broken recently with Shin Kamen Rider in 2023, thusly making it the second highest grossing film in the history of the franchise. I know a lot of you guys like Decade, and if it's one of your go-to Kamen Rider series, then this film is a no-brainer. I really enjoy seeing the old villains, including Ambassador Hell, and of course Shadow Moon, and the final battle of this film is awesome.
Sounds like something I'll have to check out. Gaim, okay.
Number 14 is Heisei Riders vs. Showa Riders, Kamen Rider Taisen, featuring Super Sentai. Now, I would say that this movie is mostly about Gaim and Ichigo, but there are quite a few riders that are featured, as well as Tokyuger and Kyoryu Red. The title could be a little bit misleading because it would make you think that there were a bunch of Super Sentai teams, but there's not, just Tokyuger and Kyoryu Red. But it's still pretty cool to see a Sentai and Kamen Rider crossover, even though this wasn't the only time it happened.
Fair.
This movie starts out with an all-out brawl amongst the Kamen Riders from the different eras, even going so far as to have Kamen Rider J in his giant form smacking people around. It's discovered that this infighting is connected to the underground empire Badan, and Kamen Rider Ichigo, Takeshi Hongo, is trying to defeat Badan. Badan are using monsters from different Kamen Rider series and are trying to continue where Shocker left off. So clearly this is something that the writers cannot let happen.
Oh boy.
I find the interactions between Kamen Rider Ichigo and Kamen Rider Gaim to be thoroughly entertaining. Gaim is a very good and well-loved series, so to see Kota interact with Takeshi will tug on the heartstrings of fans. Because most of the time when we see Kamen Rider Ichigo in these movies, he's simply in his henshin form. But in this movie, he's actually unhenshined and interacting with Kota. Very, very cool. And if you're a longtime Kamen Rider fan, I definitely think you will enjoy this movie.
Sounds like a fun time.
Number 13 is Kamen Rider Gyo, the movie, over Quartzer. In this movie, Sogo and his allies end up in 16th century Japan during the battle between Nobunaga and Katsuyori, as he seeks to prevent the disappearance of Kamen Rider Drive from history. Eventually, Waz reveals himself to be a member of a group called Quartzer, which are time travelers. And we have a few revelations about Oma Gyo that will make certain story aspects click into place and become much clearer. This movie features an early appearance of 01, which is strangely at the very beginning of the movie. And I know that Gyo can be kind of divisive in the community, whereas some people love it and some people hate it. But if you like Gyo, well, this movie is more of that, but it's also another Heisei era tribute, as well as a tribute to Drive. As I've said on this channel many times, I am a Sengoku fanboy, so samurai and classical Japan are definitely some story elements that I can get behind.
Build an X8? Okay, that's a crossover.
Number 12 is Heisei Generation's Final, which is a Build an X8 movie. This is a direct continuation of the ending of X8 True Ending, where we see Build being a thief, for lack of a better term. The riders have to take on Foundation X and the Nebula Bugster. This is yet another great crossover film, but one thing that's cool about this one, that might sound counterintuitive, is this movie only features a handful of writers, and while some of these other movies feature tons of writers that give you a moment to go, wow, it's that guy, I think the smaller cast size here gives each of these writers time to shine and room for the story to breathe a little bit. Not to mention, the interactions between Sinto and Imu are thoroughly entertaining, and I honestly think after watching this movie you will probably end up liking both of them more.
Fair enough.
Next up is Kamen Rider Geats and Revice Movie Battle Royale. But one aspect of this movie that's not mentioned in the title is this is also the 20th anniversary project of Yuki, and as such, characters from all three shows are featured here. In this movie, the writers from different shows are gathered to compete in the Desire Royale. There's a lot of cat and mouse type antics between the writers of Geats and the writers of Revice, and of course we have the utter badasses featured on Yuki, making this one of the harder hitting films on this list. I especially appreciate Chubby Oja. He looks like he's been eating donuts, thinking up ways to be evil over all these years, and as a huge Geats fan, I really like this movie. Next up at number 10 is Shin Kamen Rider. Now I know that this movie can be somewhat divisive at times, but I saw this in the theater, and watching it with a bunch of Kamen Rider fans that had driven from miles away in order to watch it was an experience unlike any other. So call me biased, but I honestly love this movie. While it's not a completely true adaptation to the original, it is a very stylish love letter to the OG Kamen Rider, and they basically took story elements that were originally introduced over a long span of episodes into one film. With the costumes, the music, and the way the action is shot, it really shows how much the people who made this love the original Kamen Rider. And to me, that goes a really long way. It has to be noted though, that this is not a movie to watch with young kids, as it is extremely bloody. In fact, within the first 10 minutes of the movie, we see Kamen Rider thoroughly decimating Shocker Goons, making their heads explode, throwing them against trees, with red spilling out all over the place. And yeah, if you enjoy some of the more violent Kamen Rider projects, like Black Sun, Amazon, or Amazons, then you'll probably dig it.
Sounds like a fun time right there. Anyway, we're about halfway through the video now, so I'll be stopping here for this portion. We'll look for part 2 tomorrow as we get this thing uploaded. And do enjoy my little love letter and apology letter to Kamen Rider for the long delay in my videos. You guys take care. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!